felt like it was just a migraine, something that wouldn't go away. I got sick in the hotel, went straight to the hospital, and then quickly found out that it was a tumor.
How did you manage to keep going even though you had all of these difficulties on you?
It was just ignorance and just my mentality at the time. To me, it was probably one of the biggest positive things that's happened to me.
How do you mentally confront, bad situations?
Mentally is more important than anything physically, because if you have the same confidence and the mentality to just keep going, then you can drag your body along.
Should I do this or should I do that? Because aiming to be a professional basket player sometimes seems like unrealistic.
I had one big game at the end of my second year that went viral, and it really kind of started my career.
So you believe in manifesting, like where you can be in the future?
I believe manifesting, I believe law of attraction, and karma for sure. Just keep hungry, keep learning, and everything happens for a reason.
Two brothers, one table, and one guest. Today we have Kuric. How are you, Cal?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Well, the people that don't know Cal, he's a professional basketball player playing for Morabanc Andorra right now. And I was especially very excited to have you here today because I remember some years ago when I visited the Palau Blaugrana to watch Barça play, that you were playing by that time. I saw you play and I would have never imagined that today we would have the opportunity to do the podcast with you. So
I appreciate it.
so nice.
I love my time in Barca, and I think I made a lot of good connections while playing here. And I'm very happy to have met you guys and to hear your story. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And also because you played basketball.
Yeah, I played basketball for some years, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I thought he had the potential to be professional, but then he decided to go the marketing way.
Yeah, well, there was one moment in my life where I had basketball, university, and also work, and I didn't have enough time to manage all of this, so I had to kill one.
Of course,
I had to
you have
sacrifice
to
basketball.
see which priority is going to take over and what you're more interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One of the questions I wanted to ask is, before being a professional, did you know you were going to be a professional, or did you doubt, like, should I do this or should I do that? Because aiming to be a professional basket player sometimes seems like unrealistic, and the most realistic thing to do is keep studying and have a normal job.
Yeah.
How did you manage to do that?
So my goal was always be professional. Like any player, our goals are always to get to the NBA. So I always worked toward that, and I only had a couple really kind of small jobs. I never really had like a real job. And even in college and university, I only worked to be a professional athlete. And the kind of turning point came my first 2 seasons. I was on the team. I didn't play too much. You were the guy you don't really talk about. And I had one big game at the end of my second year that went viral, and it really kind of started my career. And then from there, you could see maybe I do have the potential to play professionally. And then when I graduated, I had 2 clear paths. I had met somebody at a famous horse race in Kentucky, Kentucky Derby. And he had his own financial planning, and he wanted to bring me along and kind of groom me to take over the business. And then I could have left and gone overseas to play in Spain, which at the time was Estudiantes in Madrid. And, obviously the money was much better for the financial planning than it was going to be to start professionally. And I really, I thought about it. I considered it because my wife just graduated dental school, so she would be working as a dentist, and, we both kind of have our careers. And in the end, it just didn't seem like the thing for me. I was like, I have to go try, and, we're going to see what's going to happen. Either my career takes off and I'll be very happy with it, or we fall back and I have something to fall back on. So thankfully we took that leap and came to Spain, and that was 13 years ago.
You, in the draft night that you attended, I guess that it was online or maybe like physically, you saw that your name wasn't called out. Like in that moment, how did you react to that situation?
I think at the time it was going to be unlikely that I would be a second round pick.
Okay.
And then just kind of watching it, I realized it definitely kind of hurt because that was one of my dreams. But I took that as a view. Then I had an opportunity to go play summer league, and from there I was going to try to get a team overseas. So I had offers from Greece, Belgium, and then in the end, Spain came last minute, and I jumped on Spain, and then we came over here, and thankfully it all worked out pretty well.
And sometimes like bad news seems like bad news in the moment, no?
Mhm.
But then after some time goes on, you go back and say, oh, maybe it was the right thing to happen, no?
For sure. I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. You don't always see what that is right now. It just takes time for everything to unfold. I've had many points in my career where that's in my life, not just career, where that's kind of become evident to me. And you know what happens is going to happen, and you just move on and you accept it and you learn from it.
Yeah, yeah, because I have the feeling that many people lose confidence, or they even get to like break mentally
Mhm.
when Plan A doesn't work as they believed so. No?
Mm.
But how did you manage like the situation that okay, I wasn't chosen to be like in the NBA.
Mhm.
I'm going to follow possibly other plans that weren't your like initial one,
Mhm.
but I'm going to go with that.
Mhm. For me, it wasn't too difficult actually.
Okay.
So I did the summer league, and I had an opportunity to play at the time was the D League or G League. I'm not sure which one. D League maybe. And from all the stories I had heard and people I had talked to, it was better to go overseas. You can get minutes, build up a career, experience different things, and then if you develop and become good enough, you can go back to the NBA and maybe go that way. So G League was never an option for me. So just going overseas, it was definitely scary. So it was going from obviously English speaking to a place where I didn't know the language, I didn't know the culture, people, friends, family, nothing. It was it was just me, my wife, and our little dog. So it was definitely scary, and I always give a lot of credit to her for actually just kind of pushing me to do it and helping me grow.
I think that, and this is one of the things our father always says, one of the most important choices you make
Mhm.
is the person you choose to be with, right?
Mhm.
Because they can either push you to be better or
Mhm.
just hold you back.
100%. And I think at the time when we had first gotten together, I don't really realize how lucky I was that this was who I was with. And then you start to realize, all the things that she was doing. And, she pushed me a lot. And I fought back on some things and in other ways, but in the end, she's been a huge part of my life and a huge reason for the success I've had,
That's
That's
fantastic.
super nice. Well, she's like your biggest fan, no?
for sure. Most days.
Yeah.
Most days,
Most
yeah.
days, yeah.
Your career is also, for what I've read and what I've researched about you, like
Mhm.
built on consistency. What are the habits like for people who have a tough time being consistent all the time
Mhm.
and having the discipline? What are the habits that you have
Mhm.
that maintain you in the right path?
I think mine have changed over the course of my career, as everything does. When you get older, you have to adapt and change and grow. So, and professionally, and in everything that deals with that, I'm extremely boring. Everything is the same. I eat the same breakfast, the same lunch, the same dinner, 6 days a week. The one day I have off after game is when I'll kind of have my cheat meals or get to enjoy a little bit. Other than that, it's early on, it was I would do 30-minute workouts before practice on ball handling or shooting or something. You do the full practice, and then I would do a shooting workout after practice. So it was just always everything that I could possibly do to be the best player is what I was doing. And it takes a toll on obviously my wife and my family and stuff. But it's only you only have such a short time as a career to build and become the best player. And then I'm hoping that once I can retire and look back, I can be satisfied with the work that I put in and the career that I built, and then be able to retire and be there for them. So as far as discipline goes, there was always a quote that I saw, and it was, you know, there's two types of regret, and the regret of uh, looking back and not doing enough,
Mm.
or no, I'm sorry, two types of pain: the pain of looking back and not doing enough, or the pain of discipline. So I chose discipline.
Yeah, it's like they say, no, going to the gym is
Hmm.
painful, but
Yep,
also the effect of not taking care of yourself is also painful,
exactly.
right? Which pain do you choose?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which heart do you choose?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it wasn't hard to maintain this consistency in regards to your habits.
Um, I think early on it is because, of course, I like to have fun. I like to eat what I want to
Yeah.
eat. I like to go out and have fun and, go out with friends and stuff. But when I started to look at the player that I could become or the dreams that I had, you have to make choices. And a lot of this goes back to what we were talking about earlier and the surgeries and everything that I had to go through. Everything become very evident quickly is what kind of life do you want to
Yeah.
lead. And for me, it was, I kept hoping that, you know, someday I'll get to, at the time, Barcelona was my dream team. Someday I'll get there. I don't know when it's going to be, but, I'll get there. And then all this stuff happened and it was like, no, 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 you have to start now. It's already too late. So then I changed how I was eating, how I was working out, everything. And then you just saw my career take off.
So you were building the person you wanted to be, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you weren't at that time, but you were doing the things to become that person, right?
Exactly. And in my mind, I was already going to be there. And it's amazing to me how that stuff works. And to me, it was so real that, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, I'll be
It's
there.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you believe in manifesting, like where you can be in the future?
I believe manifesting, I believe law of attraction and karma for sure.
But maybe it's like, what does like the version of myself that is successful do, and then start doing that,
Exactly.
right? Because you can manifest, but if you're not doing the things that you have to be doing, then you will never get there, right?
Exactly.
Today we were speaking with our father, and because now it's Black Friday, and the results of the campaigns that we're doing are thanks to God amazing. But my father was telling us, you have to put in the work even if sometimes you're not seeing the results,
Exactly.
because if you have a clear path, sometimes you won't see the sales or whatever, but you have to keep insisting, because most people, what they do is
They
like,
give up.
they give
They
up.
give up before it actually takes off. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you ever think of giving up?
No. I always, this early on, even because the first half of my second year, I was playing really bad. I mean,
Okay.
really bad. I think I had missed like 28 or 30 straight threes. I was, my team was losing. I was having a bad stretch. And I was like, I never thought like I really wanted to give up, but I was like, I have to change something or I need to continue working. And I just kept working and working and working. And looking back at it now, even the workouts I was doing, even the warm up before the game, my warm up before the game was a workout. And looking back now, I was like, how was I able to sustain that? I was doing a 15, 20-minute full on work sprints and workout, and then playing 28, 30 minutes a game and playing at a high level. So just having that mentality and having those standards of this is what I expect from myself kept me going. And I always had the dream of, this is the team I want to go play for. I really like this team. And then I would sign for that team. Or I want to make X amount of money per month. Okay, then this is what I need to work for. So I always had those out. Even when I made this goal, I never really celebrated it that much. It was
We were speaking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
in another podcast.
And I think it's it's a little bit sickness, but it was always, okay, I worked so hard. I finally got this. Okay, that's great. What's next? And it was always inching forward and setting the next goal.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you mentioned before the topic of surgeries, because my brother and I, when we were reading about your story, we saw that you had a lot of highs and lows in your career. And some years ago, when they told you all of a sudden that you had a brain tumor, how did you react to that? And how did you make sure that even though you had to have surgeries, you lost like physical conditions, how did you manage to keep going, even though you had all of these difficulties on you?
But also tell the story of how you found out, because you were
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
before, and
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Yeah. So the quicker version of it is we had an early flight and I'm never late. I'm always on time and I showed up late to the bus and something just didn't seem right. And I had a headache most of the day. Anyway, got to the game, I couldn't play. And over the next basically 2 days, I felt like it was just a migraine, something that wouldn't go away. And then I went to the hospital multiple times. They said everything was fine. Just travel, you'll be fine. Go back to Gran Canaria and have them check you there. And then the morning I was supposed to leave to go back to Gran Canaria, the team was going to Germany. I got sick in the hotel, went straight to the hospital, and then quickly found out that it was a tumor. And then I think I mentioned to you earlier, and I might not have said this earlier or before, but to me it was like it was just ignorance, and ignorance and just my mentality at the time. Because I remember calling in and saying, "Yeah, I'm at the hospital. I have a brain tumor." Okay, bye. And it was like, to me, it was like, I don't know, you just twisted your ankle, you have a broken hand or something.
Something to fix.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna fix it. Don't worry. And then we had the surgery, and during the entire process of from finding out until I played my first game, I never questioned anything about, could this go wrong? Could I maybe die? What is this going to mean for me professionally, for personally, about my body? No, no. I'm going to have surgery. Okay. What's next? Well, we don't know if you'll be able to play. Maybe 1 year. I said, okay, that's great. That's your opinion. I have something different in my mind. So the after that part of from when waking up until playing again, my mentality is what drove me. I was working out once, twice a day. I was focusing on my nutrition. I changed how I ate. I started sleeping better. I had 2 newborn babies at the time. So everything kind of was at once. But my mentality was so far ahead of my body that it just kind of pulled me along. And I think I just played my first game in just over 4 months. It was
Yeah, I
Wow.
read that. That's crazy. But at what point you knew how, like, como se diría, how,
Serious?
yeah, how serious it was, because, okay, we're gonna fix it, but
Mhm.
you have all these types of people saying, no, this is serious, you know?
To be honest, I never really understood it. And I never got scared of it. I never thought anything was wrong until way later. And I mean, years and years later when I had to
Wow.
do another surgery to replace it because it got broken. So people were saying, this or that. And to me, it was very simple and straightforward and basic.
Yeah.
You have a tumor. Okay. We have surgery. We go in and fix it. We had to take your forehead out because of swelling. Okay. That's fine. When do we put it in? When do we put the new one in? Great. All right. What's next after that? You have to start physical rehab. It's going to take 1 year. Okay. I'll start the rehab. It's not going to take a year. And to me, it was just very simple.
Wow, crazy. Well, this just shows how at times having a bit of ignorance is good
Yeah.
to overcome some difficulties.
Definitely. So the ignorance definitely helped. But I think in the end, what pulled me was just my mentality.
Yeah.
Because even looking back, 5 years after, even 10 years after, which is now, when I played, my body was not ready.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't ready. I was still massively underweight. I wasn't as strong. I was pretty fragile, but mentally, I was so ready to play that I was able to.
Yeah. And this just shows how your life can change all of a sudden.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to the people that perhaps are like in a comfortable job situation and they think that what they have is guaranteed for life?
Mhm. I think this is something that everybody knows, right? Everybody knows that it could change in a second, but you don't. It doesn't really have the same impact until you go through it personally. So, I mean, everybody says the same stuff, but it's so true that it you can't be comfortable. You can't think so much in the future. You have to live now because you don't know when it's going to change. So, and if things are going in the other direction, things are really bad, things can change just as quickly. Professionally, if you're in our situation, if you're having a string of really bad games, really bad season, all it takes is one game, and then the whole season can change. If something's going wrong in your personal life, all it takes is one thing to change, and then your whole year is completely different.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we learned and we were talking about before, to keep insisting, even if you don't see results, is like sometimes it's luck, right? But luck has to catch you working so that this change can happen, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes you're working and all of a sudden, like, things like this happen and just how do you take your life? So how did it change your life and your mentality from that point on?
Mhm. So, professionally, it was easier. Um, I changed my nutrition completely. I started,
Why?
well, because during the surgery, when I was in the coma, I lost so much weight that I can't remember exactly the figures now, but it was substantial amount of weight in 2 or 3 day period.
How long were you in?
The coma was just 2 or 3 days. It wasn't.
And what did you like? What is the experience? It's just like going to sleep and then waking up, or
Yeah. For me, it was a lot of crazy dreams, and everything seemed extremely real. And dreams, but on another level dreams.
Wow.
Wow, can
And
you share something? Because I'm very curious
yeah,
about that because our recently our grandmother died, and I was looking one day TV, and I saw a doctor talking about, you know,
hmm
people who had comas or who were dead but then came back,
yeah,
the crazy experiences that they had.
hmm
And if you could share some.
yeah. So I remember two to three pretty well even now. The first one was I don't know why, but I was convinced that the surgery was taking place in a, I don't know, for lack of better, airtight room on an asteroid in space.
Wow.
And I think that because this operating room was so cold that I somehow got that associated with, and that connection was made. And I was like, so, when are we going back down to Earth? What are you talking about? Yeah, we're in space. No, 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 we're in Barcelona. No, 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 I know. Like, I saw it. And I can still picture like being on the asteroid with the room and everything.
Wow, that's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah. That one was crazy. Um, Another one was um I woke up. This was after, and I remember looking at my wife, and I was like, "When are you going to tell me? What are you talking about?" I said, "You're pregnant." I said, "When are you going to tell me that we're having another baby?" She's like, "No, no, no, I'm not pregnant." I was like, "No, no, no, I was there. I saw the results. Like, I know we're having. I don't remember if it was a boy or girl, but I know we're having another baby." No, 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 I swear. And to me, that was just as real as if like we're talking. Um, but yeah, there was some other ones that were not quite as
Shareable. Yeah,
pleasant.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And when
Okay.
you passed through all of this,
Mhm.
now, do you have the feeling that you value more the present and the moment?
I definitely try to. I think it's hard because I try to plan so much for the future as well.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking in the future and building things for then. So it's definitely harder, but I also realized that I'm really an easygoing person. So things that used to bother me a lot in the past, they just don't. And I think to myself, is this really such a big deal to get angry about or upset or to change your day or your mood? Most of the time, it's not.
And sorry that I caught you when you were speaking about the coma, but we were speaking about nutrition.
Yeah.
Why
Okay.
did you change your
Yeah.
nutrition drastically?
So the biggest one was I changed it because of all the weight that I lost. So I had to trying to get back to play sooner. I had to put all the weight back on, and in a way that was productive and helpful for me as an athlete. So I started weighing the food, like the pasta, the chicken, everything. And then I started eating, different things, more fruits, more veggies, and became more consistent in how I was eating. That's why you see now I eat the same thing every day, 6 days a week, which is boring, but it's also very
Yeah, you
stable.
know it works.
Yeah.
Uh,
So if I know that I felt a little bit tired today or something was like this, okay, maybe I need a little bit, I can make small changes
Oh, wow.
instead of thinking, okay, it could be 20 different things. No. What did you change this week? I added this in. Okay, that doesn't work. Take it back out.
Oh, that's very smart. Oh,
Uh,
and because you were eating bad before, what do you think?
mhm,
Like many times when when I learn about people having these things, I said, what might be the cause? Do you know what could have happened
mhm.
for you to have this, or like maybe stress or nutrition or not sleeping? I don't know.
Um, for me, I think it was nutrition.
R-
Looking back on it, because growing up, I ate really bad. When you picture the classic American diet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah.
This is what I ate every day. So it slowly got better over time, but this was definitely the biggest change.
And in your recovery phase,
Mhm,
what other things besides nutrition did you value more? Like
mhm,
perhaps sleep
mhm.
or
I don't think I think I've always prioritized sleep. That when it's my time for siesta or it's my time to go to sleep, like, look, I'm sorry, it's 12 o'clock or whatever. I have to get my sleep because if I don't sleep, then I'm a very different person.
Yeah, yeah.
As you guys
yeah.
probably feel the same. So definitely sleep was a big part of it, and I started tracking that even more in depth later on. Um, And then also the other big changes was how I was working out. And I started, in the summer following this season, I usually take quite a bit of time off, just, let my body recover. I was doing, 2.5, 3 hour workouts every day just to try to get my body to get to the level that I needed it to be. And then what I did is I recorded all these single sessions drills that I was doing, and I would pick, 3 to 5 of them, and I would go do a 20-minute workout before every practice just to try to continue improving on the skills and growing. So those changes are what really started elevating me more.
So talking about sleep and recovery,
I was thinking the same.
and before the podcast, I asked him, "Did you ever try, a
Yeah.
nose strip?" Okay. First of all, it's very important for you to clean a bit the nose because, for example, before I had a bit of sweat in my nose, so it
Is that
won't
what-
stick properly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try it on. Put
Well-
it the closer you can.
Down
Yeah,
to
down.
the okay.
Yeah. This doesn't have like anything like special.
Yeah.
What it does in a natural way and in a mechanic way is open your nostrils so more air can come in.
Okay.
So especially for sports like basketball, that is like very intensive. Well, very intensive. Having more air to breathe is better. If you open it from the middle,
Got
it's
it.
easier.
Yep, I see
There
it
you
now.
go, yeah.
I see it now.
Yeah, especially because the nose is the only type of breathing that generates nitric oxide,
Okay.
which then takes more nutrients to your muscles, and it makes you perform better.
Okay.
In fact, I don't know if you've seen Olympic athletes when they run, they just go like this.
Without opening their mouth.
I
Yeah.
did not notice. Interesting.
They're just breathing through
Through
your
the
nose.
nose. Now I've seen it online where people put these on and they really see a big change. So I've
Try it. I
I've
wanted
been-
to see your
So
reaction.
use this as a mirror. if you
Okay.
want.
There you go. Okay, and be sure to
Yeah. You have to react 100% honest.
I will. Don't worry.
imagine it's like I don't feel nothing.
This is shit. I feel nothing.
I can feel it like
Opening, right?
opening.
Yeah.
Is there like I feel it
Yeah,
here.
there's inside
Yeah.
there's a strip that pushes
Push
out.
it out. Yeah.
Exactly. So it makes your nostrils a bit bigger while you're wearing them.
Okay, I don't want to lie, but yeah, I definitely you definitely feel the difference. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got the mouth tape for people like us who are
Mhm.
more used to sleeping and breathing through your mouth.
Yep.
When you're breathing through your mouth, you're actually not getting to phase 3 of REM sleep. So you're not recovering as properly. And I used to wear the whoop also, and I tested on myself the difference between
Oh wow.
the nights I slept with the mouth tape and nose strip
Yeah.
and not. And the recovery and the sleep is much better when you're using them.
Interesting.
So now you have a new hack to
I'm
improve
gonna
your,
try
your
it tonight.
performance. Getting back on the questions, one of the things that many people for sure that can see our podcast today
Mhm.
is that some of them will go through a rough time. How do you how do you mentally ¿cómo se diría afrontar? Confront
Mhm.
bad situations.
Mhm.
Like some people are battling depression or something bad has happened in their life.
Mhm.
What tricks would you give them to
I've always looked at anything that I've gone through as what can I learn from the situation to improve on. Obviously professionally it's much easier to, I'm shooting really bad from 3. What can I do? What's wrong? Is it my legs? Is it my conditioning? Is it my hand? What is it? So as far as that goes, professionally for me, it was always just stay with the work and, mentally is more important than anything physically. Because if you have the same confidence and the mentality to just keep going, then you can drag your body along. And then, so back to what I was saying, I just try to view everything as like this, like the surgeries in the tumor. Anybody else would see that as this horrible part of your life that,
Yeah.
this is so bad. Why me? Blah, blah, blah. to me, it was probably one of the biggest positive things that's happened to me.
Oh,
Wow, crazy.
And I truly believe that because it changed the way that I ate, it changed the way I worked out. And then you saw from that season what happened professionally to me. It went straight up.
maybe
So
it was like a sign you had to change something,
for
right?
sure. And look, you're either gonna change something and work for it now, or you're gonna hope that something happens later.
Yeah.
So for me, it was very simple. Like I mentioned earlier, I changed and I continue working in systematically in a way that provides results. So if anything else is going bad in my life, then it's like, okay, something's not going right. What is it trying to tell me? I need to change something. And what is it do I need to change? And then I can look at it and say, okay, maybe here's a list of 10 things. Let's try a couple and see what kind of results come from it. And that's just kind of how I view everything now.
Yeah, perhaps what is determining in everything that may happen in life
Mhm.
is the perspective that you have on every one of these. No,
Mhm.
like it's surprising to me to hear that the tumor thing that occurred to you is something positive for you
Mhm.
because you learned a lot of things because of that.
For sure.
Yeah, many
For
people
sure.
you'd ask and they would be like, it would be a traumatic, moment in their life.
Yeah.
But for you, it was like, okay,
Yeah. Now I'm speaking this from a personal because
Yeah,
personally
yeah,
for me
yeah.
it was definitely a positive, but
yeah,
obviously for my family, everybody else,
yeah.
it was much harder on
How
them.
did they confront the situation? Different than you, right?
Well, I'm the only person in my immediate family, including my wife and everybody, that's not in the medical field. So both my dad's a neurosurgeon, my
Yeah, I
mom's a
read.
nurse, and my wife is a doctor, my sister's a doctor as well. So they all knew as soon as I called them and told them I have a tumor, they all knew what it meant and what's probably going to happen moving forward.
How
Yeah.
did they react?
Um, I think everybody was pretty emotional. I feel like my dad handled it probably better because that was his direct field, and he kind of
Yeah.
knew because your brain switches and you go to what's going to happen. And okay, this is what needs to happen. These are the steps. This is what to look for. Blah blah blah. So, I mean, they were definitely a lot more emotional than I was. To me, it was very black and white, and to them, it was very stressful, for sure.
Yeah. Moving back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, that the small victories that you may have, you don't celebrate them as much, and you're looking like for the next thing.
Mhm.
Why do you have this mentally? Because like us, for example, every time that we had like victories in the past and we celebrated too much,
Mhm.
we felt that we were like getting into a comfortable like situation.
Mhm.
And when we get comfortable, results get
Drop.
back.
Yeah, you stop working the same,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
So is it this like why you have like that
Mhm.
mentality in that?
And I was thinking about this, and I was kind of trying to do a little, I don't want to say research, but deep dive into myself about why. And I think part of it just comes naturally that I work so hard for something and then I get it and it's like, okay, well, that's done. What's next?
Okay.
And, so I'll give the example of when I signed here for Barcelona. Um, Actually, I really love this story because I was in Gran Canaria. We played here and we were practicing at the secondary gym and somebody left their Barcelona practice jersey there and everybody was going crazy, like, who, I want it, do you want it? Do you want it? I said, no, I don't want it. I said, well, why not? I was like, because that's somebody else's jersey. I was like, I want it when it's my jersey. When it says my name on the back from Barcelona, that's what I want. I don't want somebody else's jersey. And that summer they were kind of talking like, if we sign this guy, maybe we can sign you. So I changed the background on my phone to the Barcelona logo. And in the end it fell through. So then I went to Russia and I played for a year. And this
Why
was
did you go to Russia? What was the story?
so I had a really good season in Gran Canaria and then I went to Russia just because it was the best opportunity at the time. It was to leave Spain and then so Russia is a different kind of league. At the time it really focused on individual talent. So if I wanted to excel there, I had to change my game.
Okay.
So I couldn't just be, coming off screen shooting. I had to be able to do a lot more, play pick and roll, play one-on-one, do a lot more things. So it was really a good opportunity to prove to myself and show, am I going to take another step up as a player or is this my level? Talking about how I was playing in Gran Canaria. And I had a great start to the season, and then about 2 months, I completely nosedived. I was playing terrible. I was missing everything. I was scoring like 2 points a game. I was one game away from being cut, and they were going to buy my contract out, and I would leave. And this was right around New Year's. This was so we were about to walk out the door to go to a party for New Year's, and my wife said something's not right. I don't feel well. I want to take a test, pregnancy test, and she says it's positive. And we just kind of looked at each other like, oh, okay, what do we do now? Like, well, we're gonna go enjoy the party and we'll figure it out later. So then we went from this is our third. So the first two were twins. So we went from two to having three. And I was thinking, you know, if I want to have the life that I want to have, I have to become a better player. I have to sign a better contract. I have to make more money because now we have three kids.
I can step up my game, no?
Yeah. So I have to step up. And from finding out the next month, everything changed. I averaged 30 points a game. I was the MVP of the round of the competition, blah, 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 blah. And it was because I found out that we are going to have another kid. And I was like, no, this isn't my level. I'm better than this. So I started reading books again on mentality and, how to improve and get through these difficult times. And everything changed. So then after that summer, after Russia, I had a great season, and there was talks again of maybe you can come to Barcelona. So I changed my phone screen back to Barcelona, and finally in the end we signed a 2-year deal. And I was extremely excited. I was happy, and I got the jersey that I wanted.
Wow, crazy.
How does it feel?
Oh, it felt great. It was great. And so back to what the whole thing this came from of not really celebrating. I was extremely excited, and it was so quick. And then we went back to the U.S. for the summer, and my birthday is right before coming back over here, and they got me a cake that had the Barcelona emblem on it and said, congratulations. And I just kind of looked at it. I was like, I really appreciate the effort. That means a lot. But it was like, that part's done. I was like, I'm glad I signed there, but now it's like the next step. What kind of player are you going to be here?
Yeah.
Are you going to be somebody that, why did we sign this guy? We need to change him. Or are you going to be somebody that stays, plays well, and they extend you?
It was time to prove yourself there.
So it was time to prove myself again. And so I celebrated it very shortly, and then I got back to work. And that's just how I've always been.
Yeah. It's like what you're saying is very similar to what I heard one time of Kobe Bryant, that he was like playing the finals of the NBA game, and he was like winning. Well, his team was winning by a lot. And the person that asked him was really like, why aren't you celebrating that you're winning and you almost won the NBA that year? Yeah. And he was like, job's not done.
Exactly. It was so like, you're up 2-0. I'm looking for a smile. I said, job's not finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even looking back, when I told you I was doing some, internal thinking on this, is even when I think I won my first Copa del Rey here, it was a goal that I had from playing in Spain. Yeah, definitely celebrated that night. But then it's like next day, it's like, okay, that's done. What's next? Oh, we got to try to, make playoffs of EuroLeague. You got to try to win EuroLeague, and then you got to try to win the ACB. Okay, yeah, the Copa is fantastic. We celebrated, and it's like, okay, that's done. And now we move on to the next thing.
Do you think sometimes, I mean, it's a great attitude, but sometimes you miss out on actually like living the moment?
For sure, for sure. And thinking about it now, I definitely try to celebrate it at the moment and really enjoy it. And I do. And I would always take the Copa back home with me, let my kids see it, really enjoy it, post the pictures, take it to their school, and do all that stuff to really enjoy it at the time. But it's to me, it's just so quick. I like the moment's great. You get the pictures, the high is there, and then it goes away. And okay, now we're back to work.
Sometimes life is great, but for us, for example, I'm every day so conscious that also like okay, we've built a great business, but just relaxing, it can go down like this fast,
It's killer.
How do you I mean, okay, it's mentality, but how do you remind yourself that okay, I'm doing a great job, but in any moment
Mhm. It can change.
it can change.
I think it's very difficult because once you put all the work in and then you see some success, you're like, now I can relax. I can take a break.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to keep working like that before. That's beneath me, or I don't need to do that stuff. And then you see the results of what
Yeah.
happens from that. So I think that just comes with experience. And it's easy for me to relate this in basketball terms. So like you'll see like there'll be a stretch where you're not shooting well. So what do? You go in before practice, you do extra shots, you do extra weights. You're more focused on what you need to be focused on as far as the techniques and everything. And then you start to go up and you start shooting a better percentage. And then you're like, oh, okay, then slowly you're not shooting before practice. You're not as focused. You take these little things for granted. You start picking up bad habits,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then they start to go back down. So then it's just trying to stay consistent and stay disciplined, even when I don't want to do things. It's like, nope, just you have to do it. Stay disciplined, get it done with, do the work, and then you can go do what you want to do.
I heard we were doing a meeting with the whole company, and one of the guys we were talking about these small fights you have with yourself when you gotta do something but you don't want to do it.
Yep.
And he said it's all about small victories. For example, this morning we were going to the gym, and always my mind says, sleep a little bit more, you can go tomorrow.
Yep.
I think it's about winning these small victories, no?
Yep.
And also, when things are going bad, do more. But when things are going good, also do more.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's definitely a lot easier when things are going bad to try to
Yeah.
do
Definitely.
more.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing that you're gonna fall,
Yeah.
right?
Like, okay, I'm not playing well. I'm not feeling well. Something's not right. Why not? I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. I'm not doing the things that you should be doing that makes me feel the best. And of course, there's days where I wake up at the same time pretty much every day. 21 minutes. I don't need to shoot today. I don't need to go in early today. We don't play till Sunday. It's okay. And then that becomes, Tuesday goes into Wednesday, and like, oh, and then Friday comes, and
It keeps adding.
Yeah.
so I think it's just like you said, there's those small victories, and then you start to feel better about yourself because you're doing stuff.
Yeah, touching on another topic, because of your basketball career, you have to travel a lot.
Mhm.
You also have to change locations of where to live because of the teams that you have played with.
Mhm.
How do you manage traveling and basketball with your family?
Oh,
Yeah.
question.
Because now, for example, before when we were talking,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you're playing for Morabanc Andorra, but your family is living in Barcelona.
Yeah.
So how do you manage
Yeah.
this?
It's definitely not easy, and every year comes with different challenges. So it's before when I was playing in two competitions, which is like Spain and then European competition, you have a lot more games, you have a lot more travel. When I was in Gran Canaria, there would be some times where it's 1 week or 10 days that you're traveling in a row. So it's definitely not easy. A lot of it comes from you know my wife just picking up the slack, taking care of the kids, and doing all that stuff. So it's a little bit better now because I'm able to come back here on my days off and whenever I'm able to have free time to come back and be there. But it definitely has its own challenges. It would be much easier to live here for sure, but the situation is what it is right now, and we just have to keep going along the same way until that part's done.
Do you think that good things require sacrifice always?
I do, yeah, and I think I take that to a little bit the extreme sometimes of maybe not everything needs sacrifice,
Yeah.
but I definitely view it as if it comes too easy, then maybe it's not worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what they say. Easy money, no, it
Yeah.
goes easy also.
Exactly.
One question.
Mhm.
Uh, I liked a lot when you mentioned that your mentality changed when you knew that you were going to be a dad again
Mhm.
for the third time.
Yep.
Uh, I think that when you become a dad, you say, okay, maybe it's 10 days that I'm out of my home,
Mhm.
but you acquire this mentality of I'll do whatever it takes to take care of my family,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
and then it doesn't matter what anything you have to do, you do.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it's for you, you can kind of bargain yourself away from doing something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
This came out or this, or I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's okay. I don't need it, But then it's, what do you do for your kids? You'll do anything.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll give anything. You'll do anything. So, okay, I need to wake up early every morning so I can go train for 2 hours. Yeah, but I want to sleep. Yeah, but this is for my future, my kids' future. So yeah, you go do it. And I didn't want to be in a situation where, because at the time I was making decent money, but how sustainable was it?
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into economics and all that stuff, but as inflation goes and all this stuff, what I'm making now isn't going to be enough by the time they're 10, by the time they're 18. And what happens if something goes wrong in their life where they need somebody to come in and help them out with something? I want to be able to, without thinking or having any substantial changes, be able to say, I got you. Don't worry, I can take care of it.
No, totally. And also, the basketball career is very short.
Yeah.
So you have to see everything like in the long term.
Exactly.
No. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, you're 36 years old.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself in the future
Mhm.
once you stop playing basketball?
So I think I have this year, next year, and then I have an option for another third year. So that puts me 36 to 37, and then option will be at 38. And then, so that's the thing about athletes is, thankfully my body's held up well and I take care of it, but you never know when that can change as well. So say that I do go to the end and I play 38 and I'm 39 when I retire. Your life's not over. So what are you going to do for the next however many years?
Yeah, like sports wise,
Mhm.
okay, maybe it's already old, but life wise,
Yeah.
you're young, man. 38, 39,
Yeah.
that's super young.
Exactly. So what are you going to do? So, and then the other part that changed about the 10 years ago during the tumors, I started reading a bunch of self-help and finance books. And that really kind of got me along the way of, if basketball gets taken away, where am I going to make my money? What am I going to do? And I kind of slowly got on that path and started doing some things to a point now. I've got some things starting that when I do decide to retire, whether it's next year or the year after, that these take over. And it's taken a lot of work and they're just getting started. So it's going to take a lot more in the future. But it's something that I'm very excited about doing and I'm looking forward to.
Kyle, how important is liking what you do?
I think that can be tricky. As far as for me, it was really important because if I didn't like and love what I do, there's no way that I would have been able to have, okay, I'm not Michael Jordan. I didn't have the best career ever, but I feel like I got pretty close to the maximum potential out of myself that I could. So if I didn't love what I do, then I wouldn't have reached my peak or my highest level. And it almost became, it probably did cross that line into a complete obsession to, if I had a bad game, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would immediately at the restaurant at dinner after the game, I would find a way to watch it and to see what I could improve on. So I definitely became obsessed in a way that took over a lot of parts of my life. But from that, I was able to, grow a lot professionally. Um, but I see both sides to the argument because also, is it better to do something you hate for more money or do something you love for less? Because in the end, there's positive and negative with both.
We do this question a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes we ask ourselves, okay, we in this case we love what we do, right?
Mhm.
Good sleep and Pratella, but we were talking the other day and starting a business many times until after many years you don't see any money,
Mhm.
right? In fact, when I finished college, I started a business and most of my friends were working, in consulting or whatever, and they were earning quite a bit of money. And I was like, okay, I can't even take my girl to the cinema, right?
Yeah.
But of course, I think that you change your priorities when you have more responsibilities than yourself, right?
Mhm.
Maybe um, before I became a dad, I said, okay, if 90% of my time I'll be working, I have to love what I do.
Yeah.
But then I think that I do anything more looking at the money because someone depends on me, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I see both sides of it, and it's like, yeah, you want to be able to provide everything you can for your kids, but at the same time, you don't want to give everything to your kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's like you want to be able to cover the obviously basic necessities and the simple things, and then also it's important to be there and teach them along the way with you. So I try, yeah, of course, we give our kids everything that they need, and probably to a point where it's too much, but I try to explain to them more and like, guys, okay, we can do this or we can do this. Now, if we do this, this is kind of what it takes. This is what it means, blah, blah, blah. But if we do this, maybe we can, it's not going to look as good. It's not going to have the brand name, but maybe we have to think about how to make it closer to like how can we do that? And you kind of get them thinking more than just be like, all right,
Here you go, right?
here's your new toy.
Yeah.
Go over there and have fun. So I think it's kind of finding the balance between all of those.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, like, looking back, we always talk about our father because our father and our mother are very important for us. But looking back, I don't think about, oh, they gave us, these toys or whatever.
Exactly.
I think more of what I remember is them
Experiences.
taking time, taking the time to be with us and being present.
Exactly.
For example, my father, he used to go to all his trainings. He was, even if it was super cold outside, he just stood,
But seeing him there.
there.
Exactly.
It's one of the most valuable things that I remember of my dad
For sure.
when growing up.
So it goes back to even also what I learned 10 years ago is, possessions versus experiences, and which ones do you really value longer over time. And the classic example I use is always the iPhone. So you go buy the new iPhone today, it's getting close to 1,800.
Yeah.
And what do? The first couple days, you put the screen protector on, you have the thing on the back,
You're cleaning it all the time.
You set it down like this, I don't want any liquids close to it. And then 2 weeks later, what? You throw it on the bed.
Yeah.
This is a 2,000 euro thing.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, you don't care about it. But you always remember being with your kids or doing things, taking them on vacations, trips, experiences. You remember those a lot more than you do the things.
Totally. And right now, if you had the chance to speak with the Kyle of 18 years old, what would you say to him?
That's difficult because when you think about stuff like that, you think about trying to put wisdom on them now, back then, but then you don't know if they're even going to accept it and what they're going to do with it, or how even their path really changes, even if it is for the better short term, what other happens long term. I mean, when I was 8.
It's tough, eh? It's tough.
Because that was freshman in university. To be honest, because I wouldn't go back and tell him anything to change as far as like, look, you need to do this and your life is going to be perfect. No, because part of being life is
finding out.
It's finding on your own.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I know we talk a lot about the kids, but it's so relatable. Is I could tell my kids the same thing that I know now, and I would tell my younger self, and they're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They have to live through it.
I know they have to experience it themselves. It's the same thing as life can change and it might end. Everybody knows it, but until you experience it yourself, it has no impact on you.
But do we have to get to that point, of something super big happening to our life to make a change, or we can do it before?
I think you definitely can do it before, for sure. Anybody can. It's just, are their eyes going to be open enough to be willing to do anything about it?
Yeah.
So, and I don't think you have to go as far as, almost dying to make that kind of change.
Yeah.
But, the biggest changes happen after tragedies or near tragedies, I believe.
So going back to your 18-year-old self, what would you say? Maybe just like a small sentence or a quote, but difficult question.
It is definitely difficult. And I think there's a lot of things I would like to say, but I would just keep it simple, to be honest. Just keep hungry, keep learning, and everything happens for a reason.
Everything
Okay.
happens for a reason.
Perfect. Okay. As I said before starting the podcast,
Mhm.
here we have a tradition
Okay.
that every guest has to do two things. One, write a question
Okay.
that the following guest of the podcast will read and have to reply in middle of the podcast.
Okay.
And also read the question that was made from the prior
Okay.
guest.
Sounds good.
So this question, we haven't read it. Ruben Sosa, that was our last guest, wrote it for you.
Awesome.
And yeah, please read it out loud and answer it.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be in Spanish for sure.
Yeah. If you need us to translate
It is
or
in
whatever.
Spanish, yeah. ¿Qué consejo le darías a tu yo de hace 5 años?
Okay. Instead of
Okay.
18, 5 years ago.
So so 5 years ago, I was 31.
What was going on with your life?
5 years
31.
ago, I was 31. So I was in my second or third season here, which means this was when I had an accident that broke my.
What happened?
So they had to take this out because my brain was swelling too much, and they replaced it. And they told me it was unbreakable, which is where I got a lot of my confidence from moving forward. I came to find out that it was not unbreakable. It was.
What did you do?
I was in a practice in preseason, and I went for a steal. Actually, the guy that. Okay, I went for the steal, and he turned at the same time, and this part
Oh.
of his elbow hit me square in the forehead. And he's actually on my team now.
Oh,
Yeah. So I went like this, and I said, "Oh crap, it's broken." And I called my wife. I called my dad at the time, and I called my dad, and and then they called the neurosurgeon that was here. And I said, "Guys, it's broken." No, it's not possible. It can't break. I'm like, "Guys, it's broken." I sent a picture that said, "Yeah, it's definitely broken."
but
So
how did it look like? Was it
Uh,
very evident?
imagine if you hit a golf ball into the wall and it dented the wall. That's exactly what it
Oh,
looked like.
So it wasn't bleeding. You just saw the
There was a
dent.
little cut and a little bit of blood, but it was a
Wow.
big dent. You could, yeah, like clearly broken. So that was when I had to have another surgery, and
but it's metallic, right?
plastic, not plastic, but like a strong plastic.
Okay.
And actually, this was going back to the fear and stuff. This was the first time I got scared because I knew more about the surgeries and what it was going to take to go through and having to reopen and possible for infection and stuff. But yeah, that was at that time that was what was happening.
And what happened?
So no, we did the surgery and I was out for maybe a month or a month and a
okay,
half.
okay,
No,
okay.
so it was quick. It was much quicker
Okay,
for
okay.
sure. Nothing crazy happened. It was pretty straightforward. No, 5 years ago, I was still doing really well as far as professionally going. I had the same mentality. I wasn't scared. I was a little bit more scared than before, but not really scared. I would just tell myself to keep going, keep working. Don't get complacent with success, and just keep working like I was before I got to that point.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, now after the podcast, you will write
write one.
a question. But if you now we're finishing the podcast, if you can look to the camera,
Wait, there's a second part.
yeah, there's a lot of questions from different.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Okay. Yep.
If you can, so you're gonna finish the podcast yourself.
Yep.
If you have to speak to the camera to someone who is listening and
Mhm.
just give them one message,
Yep.
what would it be? You have to speak to the camera.
Gotcha. So the message I always give people that are going through tough times is it never lasts. Just keep working and think positively because mentality can take you a lot further than anything else.